Hello, and welcome to the Rick Adelman episode of the Hoop Theory Podcast, aka episode 79, which is in honor of him being selected with the 79th pick in the 1968 NBA Draft. My name is Logan Wertman, recording this one on the evening of Monday, April 15th, and as usual, I'm joined by my extravagant co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how does it feel to be on the Rick Adelman episode?
Feels pretty good, to be honest with you. Feels pretty dang good.
Yeah?
That was one that I was not ready for at all.
Rick Adelman.
Yeah, that's a name that I was like, what?
As a player, definitely does not deserve his own episode, but...
Was there nobody that like... Because what are our criteria? It's jersey number, which we're pretty much out of the woods on that one until we get to like 100 and start like giving guys their flowers again.
Not a single player has ever worn 79.
And then it's career highs or...
Which no one's ever scored 79 points in a game.
Shout out, I know who the episode is in three eps. I know exactly who that's going to be.
Yeah.
If you count this one as an episode.
Including this one, yeah.
Yeah, so two episodes, three, depending on the way you do it. Anyway.
And then draft year, Magic Johnson was the first and best player from that draft, and he's already had his own episode for episode 32. And then draft pick, 79, which is what this one was, but he wasn't the best player necessarily. Like the best player was, I don't even remember his name exactly.
I need to set your... Everybody's like, why does he keep looking over here? I've got Logan on the wrong monitor. Silly goose me. It'll take me 2 seconds to set up. Let me get you set up where you're in your rightful throne. There we go. Let's get this trash over here. That's better. Now I won't be looking over here like a spazoid. This is perfecto.
Yeah.
There's some behind the scenes stuff for you, everybody. Also, I don't know if did I say it? Shout out to WNBA Draft today.
No, I don't think you did mention that.
To no surprise, Caitlin Clark went number 1 overall. That gal from Stanford, Brink, she went 2. And then after that, Cardosa went 3. Anyway, I don't need to keep going from memory. I glanced at it before we started recording. And those are the only ones I remember. Oh, Angel Reese went like 7.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't got anybody else locked in on where they went. Apologies if they are your direct relative or your university allegiance. They were only like 7 picks in, though. But yeah, that's happening tonight, which is cool. But this is the best time to be a basketball fan today. Just kidding, because there's no basketball. It kind of stinks.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
That's not true. You know what's happening tonight? The G League finals of all time. The Oklahoma City Blue and the Maine Celtics, because they're killing the G League.
Get rid of the G League Ignite. They're killing the whole G League? Oh, okay. I thought you knew something I didn't.
Ignite. It's probably just the Ignite. Hold on. Maybe I think I'm crossing wires.
Yeah,
I definitely am.
Because which a lot of people, I've heard people like say it's like, oh, an end of an era or whatever. But it's like G League Ignite they've been a thing for like 3 years total. Because wasn't Jalen Green the first ever Ignite team, I'm pretty sure? Or if not the second. He was the first guy to ever get like drafted from the G League Ignite. And he was either the first or second.
Wasn't there a guy that was going to go to Syracuse that like...
Darius Baisley.
Did he go to the Ignite or did he just go to the G League?
Ignite wasn't a thing yet. So he was like...
so he just went to the G League.
He didn't technically even go to the G League because you weren't allowed to do that before the Ignite was a thing. He became an intern, whatever that means, at the G League.
Oh.
Which I don't know what that means exactly.
I would have rather just went and played for Jim Boeheim.
Yeah.
And then been done. Get paid maybe? Yeah. As an intern?
And I think he probably was able to, like, if he would have gone to Syracuse, he probably would have done even better in terms of getting drafted and, started his career. But because he was a pretty top, like, high school recruit, and then he fell to, like, late first round in the draft.
Yeah.
Nobody saw him play for, like, a whole year, and he was just an intern. I think all that means was he was able to get, like, training during that year with, like, G League staff of teams and stuff. I'm guessing. I don't know why else that would even be an option.
Why you would even do that instead of just going and playing for Syracuse
Yeah.
Was that the Zion class?
I think it was. Yeah, it would have been.
So, wow, that was a random stupid pull for me. That just it feels like the last time you super kind of cared about Syracuse. And I remember you being like, this is dumb. Why is he doing that?
Yeah. No, I think that was the last time I really cared about Syracuse. Yeah.
See, I do listen.
Mm-hmm.
Tell my beautiful wife that. I do listen. Just kidding. She's not beautiful. She's gorgeous. Anyway, she walked up the stairs and looked at me. I'm just kidding. No, she didn't. She doesn't stalk me when we're recording. Getting back to it, let's go Crustacean Nation, which is the main Celtics, formerly Red Claws, which is always confusing to me. Why is it not the main Red Claws anymore? Why is it the main Celtics?
I don't know. Maybe they wanted some more brand affiliation. Probably helped out with ticket sales.
Outside of Nebraska ball, Crustacean Nation is an all-timer. # team nickname. Or that's for the fans, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah. I got distracted very clearly. I was very excited because I did a little bit of, not notes, but there's some points I wanted to... We're doing a playoff preview. That's the whole point of this episode. Season wrapped up yesterday. We're doing this on Monday the 15th, as Logan said. And where do we start, Logan? What do you want to start with?
Well, I guess, did you want me to finish answering your question about the episode muse?
Oh, yeah, that would be great. Well, I really got distracted. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you just I don't remember even what you said, but it was because you started talking about how you were looking at the wrong screen. You just jumped in and started talking about that, and then you just took the floor after that, and I've been sitting here listening to you.
I apologize.
But that was a journey. To get back to, I think I was just saying that I went through the draft year. 1979 was Magic Johnson's draft, but he already has his own episode. We went through points. Nobody scored 79 exactly, but 79th pick in the draft, Rick Adelman was one of those players. He wasn't even the best as a player, though. I don't remember the name of the person who was first in win shares, at least. His name was George Johnson or something like that. Just not a lot of notoriety there. The one name that popped out to me was Rick Adelman, but he's made his name in the basketball world as a coach, not so
I was
much
I
as a
feel
player.
like I wouldn't have even really probably guessed that he was a player.
Yeah.
If I would have guessed coach first.
Uh-huh.
Almost only.
Yeah. It's you wouldn't have even thought that he played at all. Yeah. And he's the father, actually, of the offensive coordinator for the Nuggets, David Adelman. Fun fact.
Check out, name-wise.
But yeah, I guess the first thing we can hop into, though, in terms of the actual content of this episode, is how this season came to a close these last couple days, mainly yesterday, Sunday. I think every team played their last game yesterday.
Which I liked that. That it was if things are close, every team is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they've done that for a couple years, but it felt like this year there was a lot more notable
Yeah, I'm not
games.
sure, honestly. But they had their version of Red Zone on the NBA app. It's called NBA Crunch Time. So I was watching that, and they were showing all the different games going on at the same time because the one seed in the West was up for grabs yesterday. The Nuggets could have got it if both the Thunder and the Wolves lost their games, which all three of these teams were playing at the same exact time. Tip-off was 2:30. It was fun seeing all the flipping between all the different games, but it was also hard to actually absorb fully at one of the games. The Nuggets was the least I've ever kind of grasped of a Nuggets game before. But we were able to pull that one out, thankfully, the Grizzlies game. But yeah, I guess the main thing we want to touch on here in this section is some of the weirdness that went on with some teams kind of seeming like they were intentionally losing a game or wanting a certain team to beat them and that kind of stuff to kind of game the standings and the seeds for matchups and stuff like that. What was one of the ones that stuck out to you, Jacob?
The one that I noticed was there was a slew of them, honestly. Mm-hmm. The Bucks was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone but Giannis, and then they just looked pedestrian against the Magic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was another one that really kind of... I mean, the opposite of it, that's hilarious, is every other team is trying to get on the other side of the bracket from Boston, but the Knicks didn't drop to do that. They're like, we're going for that 2 seed. We're going all or nothing. Needed overtime to beat the Bulls. It was, or not the Celtics. That's the West side. Nobody wanted to be on the Nuggets bracket. That was me just wanting to be prideful. What it actually is no one wants the Sixers or the Heat in the first round.
Yeah.
If they can avoid it, and the 2 seed was the only grenade to avoid because the 1 seed was not up for grabs.
Mm-hmm.
So that is why. But Thibs didn't care. He's like, we'll take the 2 seed. No fear. We needed overtime to beat the Bulls, but who cares?
Yeah. No, it's funny. And also, I think it's the combination of the scary factor of the Sixers and Heat as the 7 seed, whoever, wins between those 2 teams in the play-in. And then also the fact that the 5 and 6 seeds in the East are, in comparison, not too threatening as much, because it's the Magic and the Pacers. So for most teams, it feels like that would be a little bit easier of a matchup.
But then my thought is the way that the matches lined up. I think it's the nightmare scenario. Obviously, they're easier teams, but the Bucks have looked terrible against the Pacers all year. I looked
outside of that one game that Giannis scored 64.
Yeah, they're 1-4. That's the only game that they beat the Pacers all year.
That's why they cared so much about that game. They played them 5 times.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess they are in their division, but
that was from the quick research, and we can talk about that matchup more. And then I think the Magic and the Cavs have an interesting matchup. So while it is 2 worse teams, I still think that it could pose an interesting scenario because of the matchups directly.
For sure.
But we'll break down all the matchups, so we don't need to really go into it now. But on the West side, trying to think of the ones that I remember.
I saw the Mavericks for...
Yes, the Mavericks just being like, we don't care.
Yeah, they were playing against the Thunder.
We will happily play the Clippers.
Well, they were going to do that regardless.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
This is where it seemed very intentional that if the Thunder win, we don't have to play the Nuggets until the finals if we get there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because if the Mavericks would have won or lost, regardless of what happened in any of the other games.
What happened with the T-Wolves and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, they were going to be the 5 seed no matter what. But they had the fate of, they could control the fate of who got the 1 seed in the West by, whether or not they beat the Thunder. And
then they were still safe regardless of what happened if the Thunder won. Because it was either the Thunder or the T-Wolves. They would not have had the Nuggets on their side of the bracket if the Thunder won no matter what. They knew that was the case.
Uh-huh.
No matter what happened with the Timberwolves, who would it have been Thunder, T-Wolves, Nuggets?
Nuggets, yep. Nuggets would have been third if everybody won.
Before the Timberwolves looked terrible. But I don't think it was on purpose terrible.
It wasn't.
It just was just bad.
Yeah. I don't think that one was on purpose. Unless they just really don't want to face the Lakers potentially, but I don't think that. I mean, the Suns are just as scary as the Lakers, I think, for them probably.
Yeah.
At least there's not a big difference there for sure.
No, that was just an accident. Not a great day.
I think the Suns were just playing really well, honestly, that game. And that kind of paints an interesting story heading into that series. But also wanted to mention the Cavs one over in the East. They were playing the Hornets, and they were up they had a decent lead in the midway through the third quarter, and they just subbed everybody out and played nobody the rest of the game. And the Hornets were they weren't playing many people either for the most part.
You know who had a great game?
JT4.
Unironically. Oh, no. I was going to say Bryce McGowan's.
Did he?
Very solid game. Yeah.
I didn't even see that.
18 points.
Yeah.
For him, that's pretty solid.
Yeah, they had a lot of players that were really going after it. Poku, I think, had a pretty good game outside of that one blunder. I don't know if you saw that, but he inbounded the ball to the ref. But
yeah, in the fourth quarter, the Hornets outscored the Cavs 32-14.
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
So that one was pretty clear that they just wanted to get the Magic in the first round. Which if I'm
did
the Magic,
they know? They knew they got the Magic if they lost, right? That was like always the case. Yes,
they knew that they would have either had the Magic or the Pacers, I guess.
Well, I don't know how
Or
it
the
all
Sixers.
rock paper scissored out because I was like tracking it.
Those three teams were up for the 5 seed.
Okay.
So because if the Sixers would have won, it was kind of the same situation as the Nuggets were in out west for the 1 seed.
Yep.
If the Sixers would have won and the Pacers and the Magic would have both lost, then the Sixers would have been the 5 seed.
Are you sure? I thought the Magic locked up the 5. Maybe the Magic locked up the 5 seed because they won. Yeah,
they did.
Also, it was just very confusing.
They could have been a play-in if they would have lost yesterday and the other two teams would have won.
They would have been a play-in team.
They would have been a play-in team. Yeah.
Okay. Also, last episode I talked about how it was like there was a chance the Magic could be the 2 seed. They just pissed it. They just played terribly.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of the games that they needed to win, they didn't at all. Not even close. So, yeah, they are not the 2 seed. They are the 5 seed.
Mm-hmm. But the East is very jam-packed. Like, there's not a big difference. I think from the 2 seed to the 8 seed, it's a 3-game difference.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, there's not a lot of wiggle room there.
But, gonna flex my Celtics bone for a little bit. The gap between the 1 and the 2 is bigger than the 1 and the 10 in the West.
I believe so, because the Nuggets and Thunder both have 57 wins, and I think the Warriors have 46. So that's an 11-game gap. And then it would be, what did the Celtics finish with? 64 wins?
64-18.
Versus 49, which
50
that's 15. That's like a good amount big. It's not just bigger. It is a 4-game difference.
Knicks had 50 wins.
Oh, the Knicks did get 50. Okay, yeah. Never mind.
Also, did you see, because the Heat, they got their over. We'll talk about that when we do that episode.
Because this was
45-5 was the line. And they got 46 wins.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even think about that.
I'm bummed. No, there's a couple of them that I've been like watching.
They were really close.
And I was like, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about that, how the Heat hit their over. Which the Bulls also hit their over. Because they're at 39. But anyways.
We'll have a whole episode on that.
Yeah. What was I just talking about? The Knicks.
Every team,
they won 50 games for the first time since Melo. For the first time since it's the second time this century they've won 50 games. So,
is there a team? There's got to be teams way worse than that.
Oh yeah, the Wizards haven't won 50 games since they were the Bullets.
Okay, I was like, there's got to be like way more poverty franchises than
but
the Knicks.
The Knicks are like, I mean, arguably the most valuable franchise.
No, the easiest market to like tell free agents, like, hey, come here. Just being here, you are just
outside
better.
of LA, probably.
But also LA doesn't have the worst owner in the history of organized sports.
But wait, what? How does that help in free agency to have the worst owner in their history?
It hurts. I'm saying that like I was playing the other side, as opposed to LA. Like, what makes New York way worse than LA is the
yeah. But
obviously the buses aren't perfect, but they are not.
Not even yes, they're not more on the good side in terms of owners go. But yeah, the Knicks though, like as a franchise, as a brand, they are like about as big as you can get.
Yeah.
Despite how not good they've been historically, how mediocre they've been. So I think basketball as a whole is just better when the Knicks are relevant, you know? And so it's good to see them being at this level.
Interesting take. I'm just kidding. That's actually pretty accurate. When your big brands are good, it is good for basketball.
Yeah.
Or good for whatever sport you have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Glad to see the Knicks there. Also, they were like my East rooting interest back in the Melo days. So good to see that. But moving on, I guess, to the play-in. We'll start there, looking at these matchups. Over in the Western Conference, we got the 9 and 10 seeds with the Kings at the 9 and the Warriors at the 10. 7 and 8 is New Orleans, LA, Lakers, that is. And so I guess this is a pretty interesting. I think that this is the best way these matchups could have broken up because the Kings and Warriors, for those who remember, they were the first round matchup last year, and that might have been the best first round there was last year, to be honest. Most entertaining.
Yeah.
Went to 7 games.
I would argue that for people that don't have a team interest, it might have just been the best series in the playoffs.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
If you don't have like a team to root for interest, like thinking back to last year's playoffs, I don't know which one I'd put.
Boston, Miami was good.
That's why I added the team interest thing because I don't love that series.
Yeah.
Was that cool for a non related fan? Was that fun to watch a team get that close and then get absolutely just fisted in Game 7? Was that fun for you?
Did you get that fisted in Game 7? I don't remember it being like a. Was it a blowout?
It was.
It wasn't
Miami.
It wasn't like Maverick Suns level a few years ago, but
I don't remember the exact score because I don't think about it. 103-84.
Okay, but it wasn't like
that's a fisting. Yeah. A 19-point fisting at home in Boston.
Yeah, but it was not a 73-35 score at halftime or whatever that was. I think it was 27. They had 27 at half, I want to say.
And then I said that Jimmy Butler would have 69 points, but he only had 28.
Yeah.
Caleb Martin had 26.
Caleb Martin was an animal in that series.
The Celtics... I need to fix my light. It's bugging me. Hold on. I don't want to be in the darkness anymore.
Fair.
In the darkness bind them. I don't know why that was the first thing that popped in my head.
You said that like you were Bane.
No, it's when Gandalf is talking.
Yeah, I know. You said a Lord of the Rings quote, but you said it like Bane.
I don't think it was like Bane. It wasn't intentionally like Bane. Desmond Bane, maybe. Hold on. I feel much brighter now.
You look much brighter.
That's good.
Yeah. Do you have any, I guess, initial thoughts over any of these matchups over here in the play-in for the Western Conference?
My gut immediately just says the Lakers win against the Pelicans. That's just what my gut says.
Same.
And then the Pelicans beat whoever comes out of the 9-10.
Oh,
unless
really? That's where me and you slide differently.
My gut don't feel that strongly about it. If it's the Warriors, my gut does feel strongly about it. If it's the Kings,
I'm shocked by that.
I don't have...
You feel strongly that the Pelicans will beat the Warriors, but you feel strongly that... Or you
nothing
don't feel
is strong. It's just like a level of like...
Didn't you just say strong? I think you used the word strong.
On like a relative scale.
Okay. But still, comparatively, you feel like the Pelicans are going to handle business against the Warriors, but not so much the Kings.
Yeah.
Even though the Kings have... Like I feel like the Kings... I feel like the Warriors are... I don't know what the betting odds are, but I'm sure the Warriors are favored against the Kings because of the... Like, Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter, unless I'm mistaken, are not going to be available, right?
Oh, that I did not know.
Okay.
This dramatically changes my opinion. I just think we're witnessing the end of something special with
Golden State.
I'm going to say Oakland, even though it's not. It should be. Imagine like that. Like, for me, that's like UNL being like, we're now the University of Salina, Kansas, and they just move. They just leave. Everything you love is gone. That's what's happened to Oakland in every major sport. Everyone's leaving.
I guess, other than, San Francisco, it's hard to say that they've like moved.
That's true.
It's like the same city. It's across the bay, but obviously it's different. It's not the same as when they were just in Oracle Arena where, so many Oakland fans could just, buy tickets. It was cheaper to buy tickets there too because just like the living wage there is a lower. So, and that was part of the reason why they moved to Chase Center in San Francisco to get more
the Oracle
price per ticket. And yeah, Oakland fans see that as a spit in the face, which I definitely get that. Yeah, for sure.
I think that if Oakland only lost the Warriors, they wouldn't be so spiteful. Yeah. But they went from having 3 major sports.
That's true.
To in next year having 0.
Yeah, because who's leaving at the end? Is it
the Athletics?
Athletics, yeah. Oakland A's. They're going to Vegas?
That's the theory, but they've got a temporary place that they're playing.
Oh, yeah. My younger brother, who is a big MLB fan, was telling me
Big
about
Braves
this.
guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is, their temporary home is in...
It's in California, right?
Yes, okay. I accidentally clicked on something.
I think it was Sacramento.
It is Sacramento. It was like such a just stay in Oakland another year.
Mm-hmm. It's like
it was such
and I'm sure that 2 hours northeast of Oakland.
It's a business, but it feels like even more of a spit in the face of Oakland. Honestly, that's what the NBA should do. Put another basketball team in Oakland. If you get to the point where you're so saturated with talent, Oakland would embrace that team. I feel like they would just, if the Warriors aren't good, they'll just claim whatever gets put back in Oakland. Have some Oakland billionaire and be like, we're staying here and we're not leaving.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be like the Oakland Revolution or something, or the Oakland Revival. That's not a good team name. Let me cook for a while. But I feel like that's like a business decision. If the NBA is like, we're going to 36 games, we got to find some 36 teams. We got to find some markets. I feel like, Mexico City, probably Omaha, Louisville. The list goes on. Obviously, Vegas and Seattle are like that's already
Next
a thing.
Yeah.
Not really even thinking about it. Throw a team in Oakland. Mess around. See what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Or a Jacksonville basketball team is another thing that I kicked rocks around. Because they have a football team. They're like kind of this weird...
Or Tampa. One of those.
Tampa, maybe. Because Tampa's got the Lightning and the Buccaneers. Also...
Austin has always wanted to... Not always, but there's been a lot of talk
Austin
of
deserves
Austin.
nothing.
They really want a basketball team.
Well, I don't care about them. They ruined the Big 12.
I think they should just root for the Spurs, to be honest. But
well, let's put one in El Paso while we're at it. Let's give Texas more stuff to enjoy.
Yeah. Anyways.
I'm done.
The
pod's over. Final episode.
Sacramento and Golden State, though. I lean Golden State because of I'm pretty sure, at least this was a couple weeks ago now, I think, that Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter were supposed to be out the rest of the season. And so that changes a lot of things for the Kings. It takes away like most of their shooting, like almost all of it. I mean, they have Keegan Murray still. We'll see if he can.
So then I still feel better about the Pelicans against the Warriors, I think.
And not the banged up Kings?
No, I'm changing that now that I know that they're banged up.
Oh.
I think the Pelicans are just going to end up playing the Thunder.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That's where I'm pivoting now that
either team.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely the game I feel most iffy about is the game for the 8.
Whatever happens.
Yeah, which is what I have the Warriors versus the Pelicans in that one, and I could see that going either way for sure. I mean, I could see the Pelicans being Lakers for sure. I just lean Lakers in that one.
Just because of the done it factor. It's one game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just do or die. And Anthony Davis is a guy that if you need one game out of him, he can look like the best human being that's ever played basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not close. He just does this weird ascend thing. Also, give him his flowers. Now that the regular season's over, he was very available this year. In comparison, he was awesome this year.
75 games, I think, played.
Yeah, no, I mean...
Most since 2017 or 2018, something like that for him.
Like, yeah. So, shout out to Anthony Davis. That is, honestly, obviously, he's one of their best players. Or maybe their best player.
This year, he's
I think
he's the highest on All-NBA, out of their
or
players.
Should be.
He will be. I'd put
you don't think that the name will affect anything?
I think Anthony Davis is just going to be a more popular pick for second team.
Okay.
I
hope you're correct. I hope you're correct. And the name doesn't mess with everything.
Yeah.
For the sake of integrity. But so our hoop theory, lock it in picks. We're committing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go Lakers at the 7, taking on the Nuggets.
Yep. Which that's a funny thing to think about for a second. Do you think LA wants to avoid the Nuggets? I'm just throwing this out there. I'm not.
and they go crazy controlled backslide, and we're like, we'll beat whoever comes out of that Sacramento Warriors game.
And
we want OKC instead.
I mean, that's a much more favorable matchup.
That is, but do you have that much confidence that you won't have an off night to just be like, we'll ship it in. Let's let Austin Reeves be the only guy that plays.
Yeah, that's why I don't think that happens, but I just wanted to throw that out there. But I also, this is the other angle, Nick Wright had this take a few weeks ago now that I actually, one of the very few Nick Wright takes I've heard that doesn't make me angry and I think is a fine take, was that the Lakers would actually rather play the Nuggets in the first round than any other round because there's like 2 to 3 days between each game. A lot more time for rest.
And that leans Lakers. Mm-hmm. Not that it favors the Lakers more than it favors the Nuggets.
More than it would later in the playoffs.
Because the Nuggets are a bunch of spry young gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
That is honestly, Nick Wright is a lot better at football. Same thing with Colin Cowherd. They're both way better football guys.
Oh.
So the way that we view those two is probably just astronomically different.
Oh, really? I wonder why he's such a hot take artist in basketball, but apparently he's not in football.
What am I?
What? I mean,
I'm getting better at basketball, but when you've got a thing that you're way better at.
I'd agree that you're kind of a hot take art. Oh, I see what you're saying. That's
if
because
you've got
he doesn't know
a thing,
as much about basketball. Yeah,
I'm getting better. My basketball things aren't real. I like this shade of green more. Just kidding. I was never that bad. But if people are not aware, I'm very much aware that I'm I'll defend some things if I feel kind of strongly about it because I'm not always wrong. Sometimes I am correct.
Yeah.
I've got enough in the tank. For example, if someone in Atlanta goes and kneecaps Trae Young and he can't play basketball, I'm not convinced that somehow the Hawks don't end up making a deep playoff run and knocking off the Celtics. That's obviously dramatic, but the Hawks are better without Trae Young. We'll talk about that later when we get to the Hawks. But that's just an interesting, the way that I feel about Nick Wright. Obviously, he's got some wild things going on in his brain sometimes. But his football takes are just okay, you've got to stir the pot a little bit. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Colin Cowherd. But then when we've talked about them, when we're not on the pod, you've been they're just bad. They're just bad basketball takes.
Yeah, Colin Cowherd, I don't think is near as bad as Nick Wright, but
yeah. Because Colin Cowherd's been doing it for a very long time, and I think he's actually learned basketball better than he used to. Yeah. Anyway, so we're locking in at 7. We'll say it is going to be the Lakers. That we want to say for our conversation moving forward.
Yeah, I would say Lakers for sure.
And then for our who takes on the Thunder in the West, who do we want to place in that scenario? Do we want to do the Warriors because it'd be fun?
So I guess in my opinion, I would probably lean Warriors just because, for the fun factor is definitely part of it. The other part of it is just I feel like my gut is just leaning the more pedigree, more playoff experience teams. Those Lakers and Warriors are just mainstays for the Western Conference playoffs, And so it just feels like a safer bet. But the Pelicans have definitely been a substantially better team overall this season.
And then my next counter question: does Draymond finish the play-in game? Does Zion just bully Draymond like he bullies everyone, and then Draymond punches him or something crazy?
I don't think Draymond gets mad about stuff like that, but I don't know. I know this is a joke, but
I think in playoff basketball, Draymond will be on his best behavior.
Yeah, more so for sure.
Well, you thought he would have been on his best behavior in the push to get a better seed, but that was not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah. I guess, I can't really answer that question, to be honest, because I have no idea. He's kind of an unpredictable guy, that Draymond Green.
That's his whole thing.
Never let them know your next move.
Don't let yourself know your next move, and that's how they don't know what it is either.
Yeah. So that's who I will slide in as the 8th spot, going up against OKC.
We'll call it the Warriors.
Yeah. Golden State. And then over in the Eastern Conference, we have 7-8 as Sixers Heat. So that is the Jimmy Butler Bowl. And then 9-10 is Chicago Atlanta, which I think was a matchup. No, they didn't play. They were both in the play-in last year, but they didn't play each other, I don't think.
Because the DeMar DeRozan game was the Raptors, wasn't it?
That
where his daughter was screaming.
Mm-hmm, that was the 9-10 last year, was Raptors and Bulls.
And the 8-7 was the
Heat and the Hawks. Yeah, the Hawks.
Heat Hawks.
And Heat lost that game. Hawks got in 7 against the Celtics. And then in the game for the 8, it was the Bulls versus the Heat.
And it was close, but the Heat got it.
The Heat almost lost it. They kind of took a miracle in the last several minutes where they came back. And so that's how close they were to not even being in the playoffs. And then once they got into the playoffs, they beat the Bucks in historic fashion first round and made it all the way to the finals.
Yep.
So that's how weird the Heat season was last year for anybody who doesn't have that context, I guess. I'm sure most people do listening to this show, but
a lot of guys on that Heat team got paid. Like a lot of them.
That's true.
Like they all left and got bucks, big bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Strus also.
Yep, Strus to the Cavs. Mm-hmm.
But I guess one more. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Super.
Philly versus Miami, though. I guess. Do you have any thoughts on that one?
I don't know what Joel Embiid is going to be. What percent of him do I get?
Or if he's going to be there.
Are they just going to be like, take this one off, big guy, and then just bully whoever? But then do they want the Celtics? I feel like that's.
Well, I'm saying health wise for Joel, because he's like,
because he
came back, but now he has like he has like another injury. Yeah. So we don't know what his status is really.
Further bringing up the point, why did they even bring him back?
I mean,
what was the purpose? You're not going to win a championship this year.
I don't know. So I've filled this bracket out, kind of preliminary, just testing the waters. And I've filled it out with 2 different scenarios in mind. I've done one with, I'm just counting Joel and Giannis both as they're just not going to be available, just not even including them. And then I did one with including them, like they're definitely going to be
100%. There. They come back and they're 100%. Yeah.
And in that version, I have Philly in the conference finals.
Yeah, but that's not a championship.
But if you get to the conference finals, you could definitely get to the championship. I feel like there's definitely a chance. Why are you making that face?
No, dude, I'm not messing around with it this year. No.
What are they going to do next year?
Whoever comes out of the West. It's not going to be. Give me this. I'll get a tattoo. The Celtics are playing who's ever coming out of the West.
I agree. That's definitely my pick.
Even more so if it's the Heat or the Sixers that decide to be the other team in the conference finals.
The Heat? You're saying that about?
Oh, dude, I want the Celtics to get the Heat in the first round.
Yeah?
It is a 4-game series. I have the utmost confidence. They are going to walk Jimmy Butler to the retirement home and say, sit down. Maybe the Heat get a game. Like, if Joe Mazzulla can do anything, it can be a weird little psychopath that gets people fired up. Just because the Celtics have been ho-humming the past month and a half because they had the number 1 overall seed in the playoffs locked up on March 25th.
That's not worrying me at all. I'm just saying the Heat in the playoffs, we've seen...
Fear. Not a single fear.
Do you think that's rational?
I've seen it. I watched it last year. I don't care. I don't care if the heart...
No, it's not just last year. It's like a kind of a repeated thing. With the Bucks is more of the repeated one, but Celtics, it's happened a couple times too.
Yes, but also this year is wildly different. Because you know why the Heat always beat the Celtics? Is because we had a middle school IQ playing point guard. I love you, Marcus Smart, but you do not know how to play against a zone as a point guard. And that's the only thing that would break their brains. And guess what we have now? 3 people that can play point guard against the zone. And one of them's Peyton Pritchard. Just kidding. We have 2. But we have competent point guards that can go into the zone that weird Spoelstra things that he tries to do. That's the only thing that's ever put the Celtics in a tizzy. In my opinion, watching the games of basketball. That's what puts everybody in a tizzy. is like we can't. But the Celtics have enough sheer we somehow can afford a roster that is 1.5 to 2 times just better than yours.
Probably even more than that. Yeah. I mean, on paper, they were the more talented team last year by far also. This year is even more drastic.
I don't think that maybe I'm putting too much value on Marcus Smart's inability to like adapt when the defense switches without a timeout. And every Celtics coach, since Doc Rivers has been timeout averse, it's like a quality that they look for. Like, do you like to let players figure it out and not call timeouts? Brad Stevens, you're our guy. Love Brad. And Brad we trust. He's cooking with some aggressive GM gumbo. Like, big fan of what's going on there. Mm-hmm. If he leaves for the Indiana job, I'm going to cry. When that opens up.
Indiana College?
Yeah. The Hoosiers.
Mike Woodson? Is he done there?
Not now, but I think next year. The writing is on the wall if he does not get some things figured out.
Oh. Wasn't he just hired like 2 years ago or something like that?
And things have gone very poorly.
Oh.
Nebraska beat Indiana by like 40-something in the Big Ten championships.
Mm.
Anyway, if he leaves for that, I will cry. Worse than Marcus Smart if Brad Stevens. Anyway, Brad Stevens, let's let the players figure it out. Let's be slow to call timeouts. Mm-hmm. And then Ime comes, does the same thing, except says, play better defense. I don't care how much you score. Don't let them score 100. And then we get Mazzulla, who is score 150, play pretty okay defense. I'm not going to call timeouts ever. Why do Celtics coaches hate timeouts?
I don't.
Anyway, but boiling this all back, the reason that the Heat do not worry me as much this year to almost no level is one, because of how much insanely better our roster is than it was even last year. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I have Jason Tatum as a primary ball handler breaking down. I feel better about him. Drew Holiday is the almost unable to be described in the English language better facilitator of an offense than Marcus Smart. And Peyton Pritchard can do it off at the second unit of the bench. I don't know how the Heat would super handle Kristaps and like the two-man game that Kristaps opens up for Tatum and Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've thought about the East, who they're going to get, because it's the Sixers or the Heat, in my opinion. I don't think that there's another, unless there's a crazy
Chicago
heater.
Or Atlanta.
I just don't like, unless Trae Young gets hurt, I don't know.
You don't think that the Hawks could win 2 games and get into the...
If Trae Young is playing, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think it is almost comically that big of a difference of they are that much better if Trae Young's not playing. I mean, also, does someone drug test Trae Young? He came back. It looks like he's like on HGH or something. The fullest hair you've ever seen, and this big full beard. And like Trae Young is notoriously like, he's got no hair almost, and just
patchy
beard.
He's got
and he comes back.
Hair.
Just luscious manes. I think our podcast is about to be interrupted. Okay, anyway, I need to get off the Celtics soapbox. Because we won't have to touch on it, actually. Because whenever we get to the 1-8 and we're kind of soft breaking them down, I've already said all the reasons I think the Celtics can make the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, I've already kind of thrown it out there. Mm-hmm. We're just what we were last year, but with just more, which I didn't think was possible.
Yeah. You upgraded 2 off seasons in a row, really. You made huge upgrades.
Yeah, like, I was like, how did we get better from that? Anyway, I don't need to keep gushing. But who I think the 2 seed would be. Like, getting back to what we're actually trying to do before I went on that stupid rabbit hole.
Who do you think the 2 seed would be?
Who I think the 7 seed would be, who would play the 2-seeded Knicks. Oh. Sorry, I worded that very dumbly because I looked at my little bracket and I saw the 2, and I went monkey brain. Anyway, I don't know. I'm going to go off of the assumption, because I like to be optimistic, that we will get the best version of basketball we can possibly get, and Joel Embiid will come back healthy. Mm-hmm. So I think if he is healthy, the Sixers get it done.
Yeah, I think they're the extreme favorite.
Yes, even if he's not healthy, there's not like a world that's lost to me where Tyrese Maxey, Jimmy Butler's Jimmy Butler, and just like ascends to a different weird level when everyone's counting them out. It's like, oh really? You don't think that we can win basketball games? Well, I got news for you. I look like a toddler and I score baskets efficiently.
Yeah. What about Tobias Harris having some like a revenge game against Jimmy Butler for the Jimmy Butler video of him walking out saying Tobias Harris over me? Tobias Harris over me? You know, there could be a little bit of fire there. Tobias Harris isn't usually that kind of a guy, but maybe. Also, if he didn't like feel like, I don't know how many points a game less he's scoring or he is being, but I feel like the void that Embiid left, he somehow took that void and scored less points a game and became a worse basketball player with more opportunities. Less efficient for sure.
It felt a lot worse. And maybe it was just efficiency in the numbers. It just felt
I think it was
just
a little
so much worse
overall in terms of even total points per game. I think he went from like 17-ish points per game to like 15.5 or 16, something like that.
So he went down a little bit, but he also got like probably like 6 to 7 more shots a game.
Yeah.
And he still got a point or two lower. Anyway, his father's statement of he is a assassin scorer did not age very well. So I'm willing to ride, if you're willing to, the official Hoop Theory prediction is we're going to roll with the Sixers as the 7, or do you want to go with the Heat?
I'll go with the Sixers. I think that's the best. Like, that's the case I feel not necessarily the best about, but then putting like New York and Philly as a first round matchup, I think is fun. And Miami, Boston, obviously, is a fun idea. So I'm going to put Philly in as the 7, bring Miami up to the game for the 8. I'm taking Chicago over Atlanta. I
agree.
Yeah. DeRozan, clutch player of the year, probably.
Yes.
And I think that's going to come in handy. And then Chicago versus Miami might see a similar thing to last year. Who knows? Like a really close battle. If Chicago makes it in there as the 8, they are getting swept by the Celtics. If either Atlanta or Chicago gets in there, I think they're getting swept by the Celtics.
Do you think the Heat win more than one?
They could. I would probably pick 5 is what I would.
You think pick. 5 would be your... Okay.
Yeah.
That feels not disrespectful and logical.
I feel like 5 would be the most likely. I don't know if I would say they're closer to 6
Is 4 more likely than 6?
4? You think so?
No, I was asking you. Do you think 4 is more likely than 6? I do.
It's close. I would think that... I just feel like if Erik Spoelstra, like just his trickery, he's gonna get at least one game. I just feel really good about that.
Yes, and that's very fair because Erik Spoelstra is another guy that still coach of the year list.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah.
After being the best coach of
past decade.
When do we want to say that Popovich handed the torch to him? A decade ago? 5?
Could have been.
Was it like the Heatles? Like after the Heatles ended and they were still decent?
Yes. So it would have been exactly 10 years ago. Yeah.
Is that about when I don't know when the torch was passed, but the fact that Erik Spoelstra has been a top 3 coach without question.
Yeah. Has Popovich ever won a Coach of the Year? I'm sure he probably has.
He has to have.
I feel like Coach of the Year does not usually go to just who coach. Everybody thinks is the best coach, because such a big part of Coach of the Year is the surprise factor. And so it's like a team that we were not expecting to be that good.
3-time Coach of the Year for Popovich.
Oh, wow. That's pretty crazy. But
2003, 2012, and 2014.
Okay. Those teams definitely, especially 2014, beautiful game Spurs. That makes sense. But yeah, Erik Spoelstra, though, like the big part of like winning Coach of the Year is like the surprise factor. So it's like when people are projecting a team, how well they're going to do, and then like the team does way better, that's usually the person who wins Coach of the Year. And that does not usually happen for the Heat because they're already, like, even though their roster would suggest they would win a certain number of games, people already know how good of a coach Erik Spoelstra is, and that affects how good people think they're going to do.
Yeah, no, he is a permanent debuff against himself.
Yeah,
winning coach
because people know how good he is, so they expect the Heat to do well.
He is added into the fact, yeah. Also, I don't know if this is the official coach of the year, but I saw an announcement that
the coaches picked one.
Dagnall, yes, it was Dagnall was picked as the coach of the year.
I think
no longer the days of Dagelnut on this podcast. We know that his name is Mark Dagnall.
I think a couple years ago they might have picked a different one, but if not,
wrong.
I think they've been
not wrong, but been different than the NBA's pick.
Yeah, I think they are almost always the same though. The coaches pick and what the
that's what I think everybody picks. It was him, and honestly, I think that's kind of the only contender standing left.
Just him?
No. I'm saying since the Magic didn't slump at the end, but got a little bit worse.
What about Thibodeau? But sorry.
I thought that everybody felt like they were going to be better. They just didn't know
They're the 2 seed.
Adding the caveats of, I feel like they're the 2 seed not because they're that much better, because the people.
Well, yeah, but it's so wild that they're there when all of the injuries they've had this whole year. OG Anunoby's like Julius Randle's been out the entire year basically.
That's
OG
true.
Anunoby
they have also had the injury bug. They haven't been free from that.
People were thinking they were gonna after all of these injuries looked like they were gonna last as long as they have. People were saying their prayers about the Knicks or saying their goodbyes. They're gonna fall into the play-in and be. But they're the 2 seed. They won 50 games, which is why Jalen Brunson is a legitimate MVP ballot name that might be on MVP ballots, rightfully
and justifiably should be. Yeah,
yeah. He's he's at either 5 or 6. I think he's definitely in one of those 2 spots, either him or Tatum. I would put at 5. But we'll get into that. Well, we've already done MVP, but all NBA. Which is similar.
We'll have more specific player talks. So it'll be Sixers Heat. We'll just say it's chalk for the East. Just to make sure that we get that out there. The official picks that we're going to move forward in our bracket will be chalk of Sixers at 7, Heat at 8.
Heat at 8.
Because those are also probably maybe the most fun ways that it could shake out.
I would agree. For sure.
Thibs, Jimmy Butler would be kind of fun, I think.
What'd you say?
Thibodeau, Jimmy Butler.
Oh, Thibs, yeah.
Thibs. Isn't it Thibs, but it's Thibodeau?
I guess. I feel like people say Thibs more often, for sure. I feel like I hear a lot of people say Thibodeau also, but I recently heard him say Thibodeau himself, is why I'm trying to change it in my own.
But his nickname is Thibs, but Thibodeau is his name.
I've heard people say Thibs also. I've heard it both ways. But definitely people overall for both his nickname and his last name, people say Thibs more often. Thibodeau and Thibs. But he says Thibodeau, so that's why I'm trying to change it. Personally. It's kind of like most people say Vucevic or most people say Saric when it's Saric, apparently.
Honestly, I think I say those closer to right than most people because of you.
Oh, really? Because you just hear me say them? Yeah. But those have taken a while for me to get down. I have to constantly correct myself. But
because Jokic and Vucevic, I say their first name the same because of you instead of different.
Yeah.
So cultured. Anyway, how do we want to jump? Do we want to jump into the 1-8 West and then just go down the West and then just go down the East?
Yeah, I would probably. Yeah, let's do the West
first. Yeah. Okay.
So starting over in the Western Conference in the first round, the 1-8 matchup that we have as a hypothetical matchup right here is the Thunder versus the Warriors. I feel pretty decent about the Thunder's chances. I honestly don't think that. I mean, the Warriors could hypothetically, obviously, maybe upset. I mean, because I think out of any of these teams that the Warriors could face first round, Thunder might be the Warriors' pick. If the Thunder just had to pick one of the top 4 seeds to play.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably what the Warriors would pick.
Because there's no world it's the Nuggets or the T-Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, in the entire... Not disrespecting the Thunder, because I love the Thunder. Is there like a top...
Including the Suns
seed?
and the... Yeah.
And is there a top 6 seed?
Yeah.
I don't know if there's another team that the Warriors... Would the Warriors pick any team that's not the Kings in a 7-game series where they don't have to just win one game?
Probably Pelicans and Lakers. I would think they would probably choose them over OKC.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my brain was thinking who would they be favored against, but if they have to pick, I'm stupid. But no, I think that you're like, if I'm the Warriors, I think seeds 1 through 6, I got the pick I wanted, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That they're going to be the 8th seed and have their pick.
Yeah, exactly.
I still think like this could be like a 1-8 that goes longer than you think, but I don't think that I feel great about the Warriors getting it done.
Yeah,
unless Steph has like this is the year that playoff run that you'll talk about in my Hall of Fame speech. That's like the only world that I think we see some sort of like definitive pushback from the Warriors.
And Clay having some vintage performance or something,
which he's had a couple like in the last 15 games of the season, 10 games of the season, something like that. Mm-hmm. He's had a couple games where he's like, I say a couple, I can only think of 2, where he's looked kind of pretty solid, but he'll have to have a lot of those.
Yeah.
Like at least 2 or 3 for them to be able to beat him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and they would need Draymond to not get in trouble.
Yeah, and also OKC, like their biggest weakness is the size, and the Warriors are not really a team that's like
reliant on size.
Yeah, they don't really have the size to punish that weakness. But they are, a younger team that Golden State can run up and down with and defend for the most part. So there's that they have. But overall, OKC is definitely, I think, the favorite in the series, and that is who I would pick. I'd probably make it a 5-game series, 5 or 6 is how I would feel about it.
I think I go 5, feel better about 6 than 4, but not by much.
Yeah, I think I'm on that same page. I could definitely see 4.
Like almost
also.
The opposite of what I will feel about the other 1-8 matchup, which I've already talked about it ad nauseum, so I won't. I promise when we get to the Celtics, I will not go crazy because I've already done it. Anyway.
Yeah. And then going to the 2-7 out west, Denver, LA.
You'll be happy with this. I saw on, I think it was Fox, one of the shows on Fox today, Fox Sports. They had the graphic, and it was King's Kryptonite ? And it was a picture of Jokic, like doing like the Jokic smile, saying that LeBron's Kryptonite is the Nuggets.
Oh, King!
Like the Kings.
For some reason, I'm thinking Kings. I'm thinking Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, no.
There's no way we would even be able to play them.
Yeah, the Nuggets are the LeBron's Kryptonite.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Which I think it's just because the Nuggets are just the best team in basketball, so they're everyone's Kryptonite. Yeah,
but also the Nuggets have beat the Lakers the past 11 times we've played them.
I think the Clippers would say,
that's just nuts.
Get in line, LeBron. If we're talking about teams that just own the crap out of us, the Clippers are at the forefront.
This year, that's kind of ever since I've said that on an episode. Which there was one game in there because I said in that episode that I can't remember losing to the Clippers, but that was because I was blanking out Jokic's worst game this decade. That happened.
You mean his entire career? No, the 2010s. Sorry, I was thinking decade going back to 2014, not decade is into 20.
Oh yeah, 2020s. I mean,
yeah, I'm stupid.
Ever since he's become skinny Jokic, those pictures. That's kind of like the BC, there's one of them. But
before chunky.
Yeah. But I think that the Clippers, the game that happened back in November where Jokic was like it was like 9 of 32 or something like that. Like a very not Jokic type shooting game.
Yeah.
That game was one that we lost. And then we lost another painfully close one. this season very recently. But there was that one that was one of my favorite games this season. The Reggie Jackson and DeAndre Jordan dynamic duo just completely demolishing the fully healthy Los Angeles Clippers. But so yeah, the Clippers, I think they've put a bid in on like, hey, maybe this thing isn't as lopsided as we think this season. But Lakers, though, yeah, the last 11 matchups, the Nuggets have won, which is I'm pretty sure it's 11. I don't think I'm over exaggerating because we won all 3 this year. And then we won all 4 because this is including playoffs. We swept them in the playoffs last year. So that's 7. And I think, so it's around 10 that we've beat them consecutively, which is a lot yeah. So, but yeah, Denver, LA, though, first round. I don't think this one will be a sweep, to be honest. It could be, but, people also want to make, like, people make jokes about, Malone is the Lakers' daddy, and that was a sweep and all that, but that was by the numbers, point differential wise, that was our closest series last year, which is just weird. Because it
definitely felt like your closest series was your first series. It did not feel like.
I don't know if I could say that you could make an argument for the first series. I wouldn't say that it definitely felt like.
It was the T-Wolves last year.
The T-Wolves. The most scared I ever was last year in the playoffs, which was not very much. It was very little. Was when the Suns tied up 2-2. Because I mean that was, and that's weird. This is weird. I haven't thought about this until now. The most lopsided series, point differential wise, was the one that went to 6 games, and the closest point differential wise was the only one that we swept.
Oh wow!
It's just.
Also, don't you remember that was the easiest path to the finals in ever? Yeah,
according to a lot of idiots online.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, even though we played, I think it was the most Hall of Famers in any. Or most future Hall of Famers. I guess you can't. Yeah, I don't think it was Hall of Famers. I think it was All-Star selections or something like that. All-NBA selections. Yeah, which isn't like a real stat, but still, it's enough to show you that it's not ESPN the easiest. Stat. It's not the easiest of all time. That's for sure.
Yeah,
but yeah, so I think Lakers will be a good, decent matchup for the Nuggets first round. I think what Nick Wright's point about the Lakers would prefer it to happen earlier on rather than later might have some truth to it. I think that, I still feel very confident about the Nuggets, obviously. So I'm going to pick this one in 5. You feel good about
5? 5 feel way better about 4 than 6. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
No, I'm okay with 5 games, but I feel like 90% better about 4 than I do 6.
Okay. I like that. I like that a lot.
You know what I mean? Like, it'll probably go 5 games, but if it's going to go not 5, it's going to go 4.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
This is a weird thing that I don't know if anybody else describes it like that, but I feel like that's a great way to like kind of show how we feel about it.
For sure. I would probably be more 50-50, honestly.
Really?
I could see 6 games, but like it's just the Lakers wanting to have some vengeance, and the Nuggets also just maybe being in the first round, just like before last year. In the playoffs, every single playoff series the Nuggets played had to go like 7 games. Like last year was the first time it was like we're just like handling every series. Before it was like no matter who it is, the Spurs in the 2-7 matchup, we had to take that to 7. Like no matter who it is, we're taking it to 70 games. But yeah, this one though, I feel pretty good about the Nuggets, obviously, and then the 3-6 we got Minnesota. Phoenix, which that was the blowout game that just happened the other night, where the 6 seed Phoenix was actually the victor. I don't know who my favorite would be in this series. Do you lean a certain way?
I lean Minnesota.
Yeah. That's fair.
I think it's going to be a battle.
You think Cat is playing will be like what factor what direction that pushes it.
Like, will make. I don't feel about Cat like I do about Trae Young. I feel like Cat playing is not a net negative.
Okay.
For the T-Wolves. I just, like, because that was a terrible T-Wolves game. It wasn't that the Suns were, like, the Suns played well, but, like, it was just, so the T-Wolves played one of the worst games I've seen them play, and the Suns played kind of sort of out of their mind. So I feel like that just, like, lined up, and I don't think that happens 4 out of 7 times.
Mm-hmm. And
so I think I lean T-Wolves, but it'll be a 6 or 7 gamer. It'll be a battle for sure. That's
fair. Yeah, I guess I don't have a direction I lean fully, but I could definitely see this series going either way. I think KD is probably if I just had to pick one player as like who do I trust the most, I'd probably be the combination of KD and Booker. Honestly, it would be.
There will be very few nights where the Suns don't have the best player on the court.
Mm-hmm. Between the two of them.
It'll be either KD or Booker.
Sometimes Ant. But
yeah, sometimes Ant, yeah.
Could be. I mean, that's good. That might be the key to this series, honestly.
Is if Ant's the best guy on the court more than the combination of KD and Booker.
Uh-huh.
But as I also said, I think I've told you this, that, like, there's also a chance that, like, we look back in 10 years and be like, oh, that was the playoffs where Ant kind of turned into, like, a freak. Where he, like, ascended to the, like, not delusional confidence, because I think he already kind of has that, but, like, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I am the best player on the court almost every night. I don't care. Watch me be faster than you. I don't know what else he would say. I just feel like that would be the... And we might see that. I don't know if we see that this year or if it's next year, because I think that is coming at some point, where Ant turns into, like, the way that people used to look at Derrick Rose. Not for the same reasons, but of, like, he could carry a terrible team to a very solid playoff position somewhere.
Mm-hmm. For sure. I could definitely see that. But the Suns also being fully healthy is another huge thing.
Factor we haven't seen, like, at all. Yeah. Like, how many games have they been fully healthy? Single digit this year, right?
I think it's more than single, but definitely not super high. It's higher than the Nets. It's not as bad as the Nets trio once upon a time. But
yeah. It felt that bad.
Really? Early on in the season, it was like, for a long time, they never had all three of them together. But I think towards the end of the season...
Post All-Star, it's been better.
Yeah, they've had a lot more of that. With Brad Beal, especially, being the one who was the main struggler with injuries earlier on. Grayson Allen was the best three-point shooter in basketball this year, which should not go unnoticed.
He got paid big.
Extension. Mm-hmm. He's been big for them, like, and he's not like a defensive liability. Like, in some matchups, he's the one who's getting hunted, but he's by no means like, just a massive negative on the defensive end. He's kind of like Austin Reeves to me. Like how some people view Austin Reeves as a defensive liability just because there's teams that they try to post him up, like they try to get him in a mismatch and just post him up because he's like can't guard Nikola Vucevic.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that because he's like the one guy on a defense, on a very good defense, that can't do that for the most part.
He hit 46% of his threes on 6 attempts a game.
Yeah,
I didn't realize his volume was that high.
Yeah, no.
Oh my goodness,
he's been cooking like aggressively.
A 6%. I mean, obviously hitting 46% of your threes on 3 of them a game. That's big for a team. But on 6 attempts a game, Jeez Louise, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah. He was on my fantasy team the last few weeks or a few months really of the season, and he was a big ad for me. He was filling in really well, and then he's been what I thought Eric Gordon would be for them. Which Eric Gordon hasn't been like necessarily bad. He's just aging, but Grayson Allen has like stepped up to the plate. Like he was kind of a throw-in that deal. They just got him from the Bucks as oh, he's also here from that Drew trade, or the Dame trade, but
same weird.
Yeah.
Is it the Drew trade?
It was the Dame trade, though.
Are you sure?
What do you mean?
Does it count as the Drew trade?
They're different trades. No, it wasn't. Drew was like a
three-way trade.
There was a three-way trade, but Drew wasn't in that. Well, Drew. Oh, I see what you're saying. Drew went to the Blazers though in that trade. I don't think that's the Drew trade. I think the Drew trade is from the Blazers to the Celtics.
Oh, Drew had a different trade.
There's two separate. Trade. Yeah, there's two separate trades.
Moves.
Mm-hmm. Because this one was the Suns, the Blazers, and the Bucks, and the Celtics. So it was a 4-team trade. Yeah. Wait, no.
The Suns
Drew wouldn't be in the first trade. What about no? Yeah, he would have. No, the Celtics was not. Yeah, the Celtics weren't in it until the next. Yeah, my brain.
Until the next.
Until the next move to get Drew.
I was just making the joke that Drew Holiday has been
the better addition.
Awesome.
Yeah.
He's not better than Dame this year, but he's awesome.
Yeah. And looking back at it, Portland did not get all that much for him.
Nope.
They got Malcolm Brogdon
and Robert Williams a third and a first and a second or something like that.
I think they're pretty underwhelming picks. Is the 30th pick, I think, is for this year, is one of them. Because it's the Celtics pick this year, which would be the 30th. Yeah. So, and yeah, I heard somebody say it's like, oh, that pick is worthless. It's a 30th pick in the worst draft in the past 20 years. But I would argue this draft is not the worst draft to have the 30th pick in the past 20 years. It actually might be a pretty decent one.
It's the worst draft to have the number or top 5, top 10 pick.
Yeah. I think outside of that, I think there's a pretty good depth of like role players in this draft.
It's a lot of guys you'd take at the start of the lottery. Just a lot of them. But no one that's higher than that. Sorry. A lot of guys that you take like mid to end lottery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But not like
superstar potential.
No one at the top.
Yeah.
I thought like 15th pick and then just said it wrong.
Yeah. At the start of after the lottery.
Yeah. Which is not a thing. Just the end of the lottery works too.
Uh-huh.
But yeah. Anyway.
And then, where are we at right now? I think
we're talking about the Suns. Because Grayson Allen's done what Eric Gordon was supposed to, and he was just kind of a throwaway.
Yeah.
I still lean T-Wolves.
Mm-hmm. That's fair. I think I might lean Suns like this tiniest little bit, but I feel like you feel a little stronger about the T-Wolves, and I also could definitely get behind T-Wolves, so that's why our together pick will be the T-Wolves.
I like the T-Wolves at home a lot, and they'll have one more home game, which I think will matter for this because I think it could go 6 or 7 very easily.
Yeah.
I feel better about Ant having like a freak game with like 50-something points. Well, not necessarily, because I could see Booker having like a 40-point game.
I could see, or KD.
What's going to be the difference maker? You ready for this? Sixth man of the year. Naz Reid.
It might be. For real.
Like, not more of a, like, not the start, it'll be the second units, how those, like, things grind out. But Naz Reid being a starting quality player on a second unit is something that is very valuable. Yeah,
he'll be matched up with Drew Eubanks, which I do love me some Drew Eubanks. I'm, like, he's one of...
The way I feel about Naz Reid is the way you feel
about exactly. Eubanks. Not exactly. I'm a fan of Eubanks' game. I think he's a very solid backup center. That's how I would describe him. Naz Reid is more of like the best backup center.
Why is he a backup? Why is he a backup? This doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Drew Eubanks ideally is a backup center. Naz Reid is like an overqualified backup center.
But he's somehow the third string center in a weird world.
Not really.
I don't know why he's not, but I don't know why the T-Wolves collected centers. I don't know like why they did that.
Well, they wanted to get bigger. They wanted to get a too big lineup, Tim Connolly, for the Jokic matchup. Was that specific reason. And then Naz Reid also was like...
I'm good.
Around that same time, it was like Naz Reid is like definitely really good. So then they had 3 of them.
So we'll go T-Wolves, I guess?
Yep, we'll go T-Wolves.
Because the more you talk about this, I'm like, I'm probably just discounting... It's going to sound dumb when I say all their names. Like, I'm just discounting KD Booker and Brad Beal too much.
Yeah.
Which I don't know how I'm doing that.
Yeah, and I think that, honestly, the Suns just have more depth than people were expecting. I thought they had a really good offseason. I was expecting this. Most people were not, but I thought they made just about the best signings they possibly could have by just having minimums to go around.
With how much money they had tied up already. Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought they did pretty good there, and it's turned, especially Grayson Allen. Them hitting the jackpot on Grayson Allen has been a big factor in it.
A big win.
Yeah. But moving on to the
best series of the playoffs, unless we get Nuggets Celtics, probably.
Honestly, you might be right there. Clippers Mavericks. Episode 3 of Clippers Mavericks. And this time around, it's a little bit different. There's a lot of new faces on both teams, really.
The only constant is
Luka and then Kawhi and PG.
Yeah, but
and Zubats, I guess.
Zubats, I had a 2K franchise one time where, like, because you know how there's like the random a player would be way better than they should have been.
Oh yeah,
Zubats did that for me. I randomly got him on the Celtics as just like we need a big, go get Zubats, and then you just feed him.
Bill Walton.
And also the way that I play is I just would like pick and roll because I'm bad at 2K.
That's what I do, and I feel like I'm pretty good at 2K.
Well, I like abuse it. Anyway, if you constantly do that, the guy gets used more and then gets better. So like Zubats was like a 90 overall center, like 7 years into the franchise. So Zubats has a special place in here.
Yeah. I could definitely see that. But him against the bigs on Dallas with Derek Lively will probably be the starting center. Or no, never mind. Daniel Gafford. I totally forgot about their move that they made at the deadline. But either one, honestly, both of them have been playing great this season. And compared with Luka, Kyrie, it's just, I feel like a lot of people are on Dallas because of how the Clippers have looked towards the end of the season, and the complete opposite of how
Dallas Clippers is on the heaterest of the heaters.
Their arrow's definitely been pointing up as of late, but I don't know. I just feel like I could see either outcome happening.
It is a 4-5, so that's what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Like in theory, in a bubble, you want your 4-5 to be your most intense matchup.
Yeah, but Kawhi, PG, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Norm Powell. Honestly, if we're throwing Russell Westbrook in as a big four, I think you got to throw Norm Powell in there too.
So they have a big 5.
Yeah,
that never is on the court at the same time. But
yeah, that's true. Unless if you want to put Kawhi at center, I guess, or something. But
just do weird stuff.
Yeah. But obviously they have, this has been their calling card the whole time. Like in the previous 2 series against Dallas, they have like all the defenders you could possibly want to throw at Luka. But Luka he basically just he gives a Uno reverse card to like logic and, things like that about when you're trying to what's it called? Basically just like think about a matchup and analyze it. Luka just is like, I'm Magic. I will do whatever I want. And
in 2 senses, will go in. As in Magic Johnson and a wizard. He is both things at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. He will put the ball in the basket no matter what. Sometimes it's just like, it doesn't matter if Paul George or Kawhi Leonard is guarding me. Everybody freaked out about that underhand shot he did. Yeah.
No, but the thing that blew my mind was the shot he did on like 2 possessions later, like spinning like the wrong way away and then like banking it off the top left of the glass.
Oh,
I thought that shot was way harder and way more impressive. I get the underhand.
Did he try to do that though?
With it being Luka, I think so. I
could have.
That was a wild sequence of, like, he just did weird, goofy stuff 3 or 4 possessions in a row, and you're like, this dude is literally like lucid dreaming on a basketball court.
Yeah,
just whatever he wants to try.
Who are they playing? Was that the Thunder?
It might have been.
Yeah, I can't remember now. I know what shot you're talking about.
Houston.
Oh, Houston. Because Jabari Smith was guarding him, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Because I just remember whoever was guarding him. It might have been Cam Whitmore. But anyways, whoever was guarding him just like was like, what am I supposed to do after he did that? After he did the underhanded shot at the end of the buzzer. But yeah, I feel like Luka is the most trustworthy, obviously, of all the stars in the series. But I could definitely see if things break right for the Clippers, they have all the talent to get it done. But I guess, do you have a certain way you're leaning?
Mavericks, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how just insanely on fuego they've been.
Mm-hmm.
They've been just so good. And not just like, they're out. It's just everything about their team. Like, this team feels like it's playing the best it possibly can. I don't think that this current construction of human beings could play better basketball at the same time.
That might be true.
Like, yeah. I feel like...
Which, is that a knock on them then?
No.
You think they've hit their ceiling and you don't know if they can keep doing that?
No, but maybe.
Yeah. I think I just throwing it out there like we did for AD. Kawhi has had the most healthy season he's had since he was wearing a Spurs uniform.
Yes.
So, which is a key detail to bring up. And should be right here, ready to go for the playoffs, which will be a big factor. I feel like this could be a very fun series. He
hasn't played since March. That's the only...
He hasn't even got in at all?
0 minutes since March 31st.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
he does qualify for postseason awards, though. Like, he's played a lot of games.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
0 points since March 31st.
Yeah.
So he will be fresh. That's more the point I was making, as opposed to the, like, hasn't been available. It's more he should be good to go.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they'll be good.
Yeah, for sure.
You picked this one because these two, I'm so not coin flip. I know that it's not my basketball brain thinking. It's like my, like, what do I want to see happen thinking, which is not what we should do for our Hoop Theory stamp of what's going to happen.
That's true.
Because my brain wants Luka Nuggets. That's what my brain wants.
In the conference finals, you're saying?
Yes. Luka Nuggets after just a 7-game slog against the Thunder. That's what my brain wants.
Mm-hmm.
Or my heart wants, sorry. My brain
thinks
that the Clippers are pretty effing good at basketball.
That's what I was about to say. On paper, it feels like the Clippers are the better team. For sure.
Because it's not the Luka show with Kyrie opening.
They just have a lot more talent. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Mavs do feel like I could the playoff performances that we've seen from Luka so far have been unreal. A lot of them coming against this very Clipper team. So I lean Mavericks, but it's by a very small amount. So that is who we're gonna have as our Hoop Theory pick coming out. You're grimacing. You want to take?
I'm thinking about the Wolves series again. Do we take the Suns? It's like a matchup nightmare for the Wolves.
You think so? Matchup nightmare?
A little bit.
Can you expand
because
on
the Wolves can just like, or No, it's not a nightmare. It's just like the same way that the Warriors are like, this is the best scenario. The Wolves are probably like, this isn't great. Being the 3 seed is the worst scenario that we could have asked for, because it means we would have gotten the Suns, the Mavericks, or the Clippers, when if we just would have won our stinking game, we could have not had to deal with this issue and had a team that we could beat. Let's stick with it. Let's stick with the T-Wolves because I like the T-Wolves and I've been monitoring them closer this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we already agreed to do it. I'm just looking at this side again. I'm like, that just feels wrong that we're going all chalk.
We're not. Dallas.
Oh, I guess.
But yeah, I don't know. I could see that one.
No, the middle two, the 4-5 and the 3-6, I'm very like, the more I think about it, I'm like, am I just too confident in what I want to happen being factually what should happen?
Mm-hmm. I could get down with picking Phoenix. I mean, that's who I picked.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that you felt more strongly about the Wolves than I did about the Suns, is why we went with the Wolves. Remember?
I do, but the more I think and I percolate and I'm in this basketball environment, my brain is going, Kevin Durant's pretty good at basketball.
So if you're 50-50 now and I'm still favoring the Suns, then I think that changes our pick.
Yeah, it does change our pick, I think. Don't be mad at me, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Dang it, dude. Phoenix, I'm being wish-washy. I usually avoid that.
By a hair.
If it's not 7 games, I will be begouged, flabbergasted, flustered.
Yeah.
Confuzzled.
And then over in the Eastern Conference, we got the Heat versus, I guess I should say that in the correct order, the Celtics versus the Heat in this hypothetical first-round matchup.
I will not elaborate more. Celtics can actually deal with the zone. Celtics in 4.
Celtics in 5 for me. But yeah, we agree.
So, yes.
2-7. That was a very nice, buttoned up, quick.
Well, no, because I wasted the listeners 10 minutes, like 35 minutes ago.
Yeah. We haven't said much about the Heat, I guess, but the Rozier, I think, is a good upgrade over Lowry at the deadline. They have Hero this year, as opposed to not having him last year, which is a big plus for their scoring. And playoff Jimmy is just...
Oh, and I think that Bam is a big...
And he shoots threes now.
Yeah, that was a big advancement for him.
He had a game-winning 3 this season, not that long ago.
Which was wild.
Yeah.
It was the Bulls, I think.
Uh-huh. I think he just started shooting threes like last month. He started taking like 2 a game now. He went from just never taking them to just like all of a sudden now he's taking them.
If they leave me open, he'll just take them.
Yeah. So, which people have said for a long time around the Heat universe that he
can shoot.
And that they see that in the future for him, but they just have not needed him to yet. But
so
now,
this is the future. We are to the Heat future.
Yeah,
it's like their desperation move. It's like their fumblerooski.
Mm-hmm.
They only pull that out when they're desperate.
Yeah, but so yeah, that's going to be something to watch. Maybe the Heat get even more than 1 game. Who knows? Maybe they win it, just like last year.
No,
but I would doubt that.
No.
As unlikely as last year's was, I'd say this one is even more unlikely.
But what? Okay, yes. I'm coping, so I'm not even going to cope. I'm just going to stop talking.
But that was a point in favor of your point.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that like they were on such a heater last year. They were playing so insane at that point. Obviously, if you take the regular season Heat, it feels, but they were like very clearly not their seed. They had ascended past what their seed portrayed them as.
Mm-hmm.
And then somehow their best series was against the Celtics somehow.
Really?
I
would say the best series by far was against the Bucks. They manhandled the Bucks.
I'm just saying,
in particular, best series.
No, that's what I'm saying. Jimmy Butler's best series wasn't against the Celtics, but everyone else was.
Cody Martin's best series was definitely against the Celtics.
Gabe Vincent was an animal against. It just does. It didn't make sense. Anyway, I don't need to cope. On to the 2-6, which is the 2-7, which is the New York Knickerbockers. I tried to emphasize the cur, and it sounded worse. The New York Knicks taking on the Philadelphia 76ers. We're also living in La La Land where health is perfect.
Oh, okay. We are.
Right? Isn't that what we're doing? Isn't that what we kind of agreed when we seeded them in?
Yeah, sure. We'll do that. We'll assume health for Joel Embiid, which is a big if.
Which is an if so astronomical that it is incalculable for Vegas.
Yeah. But then also, I think that there's some interesting storylines with this series. Mainly the Villanova connection. Villanova obviously being a Philly college. And I think that...
Dude, you need to call ESPN and be like, I could be a story writer for you. I could write these random ESPN stats that don't matter at all.
Yeah.
I could feed you these storylines.
You don't think that matters? I think that's kind of interesting.
No, I'm saying it doesn't matter in terms of on court anything, but ESPN will bring it up.
Yeah.
Or they'll do a whole segment on here's what they'll do. Like, coming out of a break, they'll show, like, a map. It'll be like Villanova, wherever arena Villanova plays in. Then they'll have, like, a dotted line. It'll be to the Wells Fargo Center and be like, they're so this close from where half of the New York Knicks starting lineup played in college.
Yeah, over half. Yeah, 3/5. And they had another bench player that was also part of that group, but they got rid of him at the deadline. He probably wouldn't have been on the court anyways in the playoffs, but R.I.P. Ryan Arcidiacono. Not literal R.I.P., obviously. But I think that, I don't know if Brunson is from Philly, but he's from all of them are from the Northeast, where they're born and raised, I'm pretty sure. Josh Hart, I guess, is the only one I'm not 100% sure about. But I will find that out here in a split second. He's from Silver Spring, Maryland. So yes, he is also a Northeastern individual.
Brunson is from New Brunswick, New Jersey.
Okay, and then DiVincenzo's from Newark, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah. None of them are actually from Philly, but they're all...
Mike Rozier's from Camden, New Jersey.
Who?
Mike Rozier, Nebraska football Heisman winner.
Yeah.
Sorry. We were just talking about towns in the Northeast.
Oh, okay.
And that came up in my brain. Yeah. So I spurted it out.
Yeah. Anyways. Obviously not too much to talk about there, but it's just interesting.
No, it is a cool thing. I didn't mean to belittle that it was like a fun little fact thing. I was more just saying that that's like an ESPN thing that they're like, what do we bring up coming out of the commercial break?
Yeah.
That feels like a thing that comes up.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that will probably happen. Would be surprised if it didn't. But Joel Embiid, though, him being healthy spells disaster, I feel like, for this Knicks team, especially if Randall and it sounds like Anunoby
Randall's done.
Yeah, Randall's definitely gonna be done. But Anunoby, it sounds like, might be back, might not. Kind of in a similar boat to Joel Embiid. Who knows? But
except one is infinitely more important to their team than the other.
I don't know. OG Anunoby, point differential wise, would say that, just saying.
Without
have you seen that before?
I have seen that.
Calendar year of 2024.
I have seen that.
OG Anunoby. Nobody has a higher point differential. Just gonna put it out there for the listeners to.
That's very fair. I will also add that, are the Sixers a play-in team if Joel Embiid doesn't play all year?
No, probably not.
The Knicks are a playoff team or play-in team if they don't have OG at all.
From what we've seen, yes, it does seem like they would be. But they
were the first half of the season.
But, okay, that's completely unfair because he was not even on the team.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying we saw what the Knicks without him.
Yeah, but it's not like this. The Knicks they traded to get him, traded players that play.
Okay, now I'm tracking.
Like, you can't. No. It's not like Joel Embiid was just minus. Like if he was traded for.
I feel like this gap is like the difference between how important Jokic is to the Nuggets and Tatum is to the Celtics. Like the Celtics would for sure be worse without Jason Tatum. But they would still be like a pretty damn good basketball team.
To be fair, I'm not disagreeing with you, legitimately. Okay. I was just pushing back on the gusto and emphasis you said that with, like how dismissive it was of OG Anunoby, how important he is. My point was just like, OG Anunoby is also important. He's not Joel Embiid.
Okay.
But I would not say infinitely. I would not say use the word infinitely the way you did.
I just feel like the Sixers are hot trash without Joel Embiid unless Tyrese Maxey's having a good night.
Yeah. For sure.
And I don't think the Knicks are that if OG's out.
No,
he makes them better.
OG, if he's there, the Knicks are very scary.
I guess the point that we're saying is the Sixers' floor is literally the ground, and the Knicks' floor, or the Knicks' ceiling gets so much higher.
If he's out there.
Because the Knicks' floor, no matter what, isn't as low, but adding OG makes their ceiling NBA champions.
Honestly, fringe. At least get into the championship. I don't know. Celtics would be hard to get past, but
again, out almost every single other roster, the Celtics just did the equivalent of like baseball. They just throw more money, but they can't do that because there's a cap. So somehow they just finagled our roster is 1.5 to 2 times better than yours, no matter what's going on.
They would have to have a record-breaking type of fumbling of the bag.
No, the Celtics are in a very scary situation because their point differential on the season is like 3rd all time. If they lose, they will be the only team in the top 10 of point differential to not win the NBA Finals.
I heard somebody say that earlier today. How are the Golden State Warriors, the 73-win Warriors, not in the top 10 point differential? Are they not?
They are. They're like 4th or 5th.
They didn't win the title?
Oh, maybe they're not then. I don't know. Let me go look at my stats.
I would think that they would have to be pretty high up there if they won 73 games.
But the Celtics beat 3 teams by 50.
Yeah, I'm not saying that the Celtics don't have a higher one. But I'm just saying top 10.
Which is also kind of revolting. Like putting that into words.
Yeah.
That 3 times in a season, a team beat somebody by 50.
Yeah. That's true.
That's like 2 players' points per game. Yeah, anyway.
2 really good players' points per game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your 2 leading scorers on most teams. It might be even higher than the average 2 leading scorers for... Yeah, definitely is. But anyways.
Is the KD Warriors... 73 win was the 16-17 season?
15-16. Before KD.
The 15-16 Warriors are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are 8th, so it must be top 5.
Oh.
It is the 71-72 Lakers, the 70-71 Bucks, the 95-96 Bulls, the 16-17 Warriors, and then the 23-24 Celtics.
That's the top 5. Where's the 86 Celtics? Or they're not very high, looks like, by your squinting.
9.41, so it's 16.
Okay, so not too low, but...
There's like a hard shelf at 11 points per game or more.
Is that the highest Celtics besides this year?
07-08 Celtics is higher.
Oh, really?
10.2. The Celtics at one point were in the 12 points per game differential. And then the Hawks happened without Trae Young. And nothing mattered except for this stupid stat that I've been following all season. Because they already had the 1 seed, so it just was la-di-da-di-da, no one cares, and I hope they can turn that off, because I will be furious.
Speaking of this, the one thing that I was really wanting for the Nuggets this year, probably more than anything, was for the Nuggets to break the franchise record in wins, which they had the opportunity to do, but they missed it by 1 win because they lost to the Spurs on second.
Which, that could be, we should have opened with that. That was like a Wemby. If you thought it was a fluke, F you. Because it looked like...
You thought it like that game was a fluke is what you're saying?
No. People saying that Wemby's just a blah, blah, blah. Against a Nuggets team...
You didn't finish that sentence at all. What are you saying? Just a what?
Like people's a rookie season was just a fluke. Like, oh, he's just playing well because he's a rookie.
Oh.
It's more that there was like a definitive line where like you could tell that he got irritated by something and then he turned into an effing animal.
Yeah. No,
Wemby.
I agree.
I don't know what made him mad. I didn't get to watch the game live. I just it seemed that like
I guess I don't know. I don't know.
He just
keep going.
A switch turned after like a timeout or something. And then he just went banana crazy and was like, I don't care what the other name on the scoreboard is. We're winning this game. I don't care.
17 points in 3 minutes.
Which is a wild thing for a human to do, to score like that against one of the best teams in basketball. Best team in basketball, whatever you want to say. But then to do it as a rookie.
Yep. That's on pace for a 68-point quarter. And it wasn't a nothing. That's 3 minutes. That's a solid 25% of a quarter, you know?
Yeah.
If you just would have repeated that. It's pretty nuts.
Okay. This adds a whole nother question. Maybe we can do it on a different episode. Is Wemby going to mess around? Everything's going to be Luka or Booker that breaks the Kobe barrier. Is it just randomly going to be Wemby?
Points, you mean?
Yeah, points.
Kobe barrier.
Obviously, the Kobe barrier is in like
81.
82. 81 to get to 82.
Yeah.
Someone would need to score 82 to beat it, whatever. Everybody's like, oh, it'll be Luka. Oh, it'll be Booker. Oh, it'll be somebody. What if it's just Wemby? What if the answer is just, it's always been Wemby? It's always been Ohio. It's Wemby.
So there's
like
Ohio?
a meme. There's a meme. It's like astronauts on the moon, and then like the Earth is just the Ohio flag, and one astronaut has a gun looking at another astronaut, and they're like, it's all Ohio, and then it always has been. People gotta know what I'm talking about.
Okay, yeah. No,
I'll send you the meme. You can throw it into the video right here.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I think that Wemby could definitely... I would put money on either it being Wemby or Luka, to be honest. I would still probably feel best about Luka.
You should. But I just feel like Wemby could just have a random ascension to be like...
I honestly don't know if you should feel best about Wemby or best about Luka, because Wemby in a couple of years could just be like, I'm scoring every play. You can't do anything to stop me. You know what I mean? Just physically, he has that potential. That's literally the type of potential that we are working with right now.
The thing that's scary is I feel like he's delivering on everything.
Yeah,
it's only his rookie season, but I feel like all of the what felt like insanely lofty. He could be this good.
Mm-hmm.
He had like a 3-month let me kind of figure it out,
and he was so good.
And he was still good then. But then after that little baby steps period, he's just gotten there and is just delivering on almost everything.
Yeah, and our disagreement that we had, you thought I was crazy for thinking of Wemby as Defensive Player of the Year. The more I think about it, I might lean Wemby as Defensive Player of the Year. Not even kidding.
Yeah. I just think that I got all the points you were making. Like, I understood that part. It's just I don't think that happens.
I'm not saying he will win it. I'm saying my pick.
He would maybe give you get your vote. Because I get your logic of who's the best defensive player. That guy. As opposed to what the parameters probably will be of who's the best guy on the not even close best defense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that'll be Gobert. And Gobert is definitely a very deserving candidate. Mm-hmm.
And it's his 4th or 5th one. Like he's
Fourth,
getting into unprecedented. He's already kind of there. He's getting into this is kind of nuts territory in terms of all-time defenders in the history of the NBA, the National Bingo Association.
Yeah, exactly. So I it's going to be 4. Yeah, I'm not sure what the record is, to be honest, but
probably Bill Russell.
Yeah, I don't know how long the Defensive Player of the Year has been a thing. Is the only thing on that one. But I'm pretty sure Wallace, I can't remember his first, not Rashid, but the other one. What was the other Wallace's name on the Pistons? Ben Wallace.
Did Bill Russell never win Defensive Player of the Year?
He might not have, because it might not have existed.
Oh.
That's what
he was only
saying.
On the All-NBA defensive first team one time.
Did that exist very often, or for most of his career? Probably not. Yeah.
Nope. It was the one season that he played that it was a thing.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say. There's no way that would be. Yeah. Anyways, Hakeem has probably won close to that, if not that.
Ben Wallace and Mutombo are tied for 4.
Oh wow, he has 4. I thought Ben Wallace had 3.
This is per StatMuse.
How many does Hakeem have? 2 or 3?
1. Just kidding. He has 2. He has 2. It is Wallace and Mutombo, Gobert and Dwight.
Dwight has 3, yeah.
Kawhi, Alonzo Mourning, Dennis Rodman, Hakeem Olajuwon, Mark Eaton, and Sidney Moncrief all have 2.
Yeah, Moncrief, he's the only guard up there. He's got to be, right? The only guard with multiple?
With 2, yeah. Then it's a bunch of 1s.
Yeah.
To the point where I don't think it's
kind of wild. Sidney Moncrief, 2 Defensive Player of the Years.
When he did it, too. That's kind of the other nuts.
In the 80s, yeah.
Because I feel like
80s,
there'll
90s.
probably be some great defensive guard in 4 or 5 years where they'll be guards can do everything. And they'll get 2 of them if they're an insanely good defender. If a Drew Holiday comes into the league in 5-10 years. You know what I mean? the NBA will be like, centers won it long enough. And then they'll give it to a guard 2 or 3 times, whatever.
Yeah. It's kind of like how I
wrong.
feel Marcus Smart. That was part of that narrative, I feel like, was let's give it to a guard.
Should have been Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah. Or Gobert, honestly.
I didn't say that when Marcus Smart was a Celtic, but in hindsight, I can for sure agree. You could also argue that maybe it was the wrong guard that won it that year. And just was Marcus Smart has been doing it longer. Yeah. It was like what needs to happen to Erik Spoelstra. Like he needs to just be like, you've been doing this at a very high level for long enough. We just have to give you this award. Mm-hmm. We didn't even vote on it. We just decided at the beginning of the year.
It was the best defensive team by far also that year.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh. But yeah, anyways, getting back on track though. Try to finish this episode out. We are very consistent on getting 2-hour episodes.
I think it's been good, but it's been off the rails a bit.
Yeah. Did we pick between? I think we're still in Philly, New York, right?
No, we are. Wow, I didn't think that was possible, but we are.
Yep, Knicks and Sixers.
How do those big podcasters stay so? Anyway, doesn't matter. Knicks, Sixers, healthy Joel Embiid. I think that makes it easy because we're going in the la la land of the entire Clippers. Oh, do we have to retroactively? Clippers are all healthy, which we kind of already had that belief.
They are, aren't they?
No, they are, but I'm saying we're going in that they're all like 100% healthy. They don't get hurt. It's all fine. Right?
Yeah, ish.
Okay.
I mean, I think you have to take into a little bit, I feel like, the consideration of like if a lot of players are very injury prone, it makes them harder to feel safe about. But overall, yeah, I'd say for the Joel Embiid and the Giannis ones, I don't know.
We'll just say they're healthy. For the sake of what we're picking. We'll just,
Mm-hmm. But yeah, if Joel's not healthy, Knicks easy.
Not close.
If Joel is healthy, I feel like Philly could pull this one out, to be honest.
I think they do. If he's like healthy and looks close to like
himself, then I think might be favorite.
I don't say it's not close, but it's like Philly feels in control the whole series is the best way that I could like say it.
If Joel is Joel, and if Maxey has a series that's on par with how he's played this season overall, that would be a hard out for sure. And so I guess for our official pick, we just to make things more fun, which I feel bad about knocking the Knicks out first round because I feel like they could be in the Eastern Conference Finals very easily.
Yeah,
the Knicks.
No, if the Knicks. Like, they've had to fight the injury bug, and if the injury bug blesses them, I think it's almost the most likely scenario if we don't see a healthy Embiid and a healthy Giannis.
Yeah.
Even like a 50% of both of them or a 70% Giannis, a 70% Giannis against this Knicks team the Bucks are going to struggle.
Yeah.
Like, you need a full-fledged Giannis, I think, to beat, especially if they get Anunoby back.
Yeah.
As we said, that, yeah.
That'd be huge.
Even without Randall, I think that this Knicks team is also just built for playoff basketball.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's from the top down. They're just built for that. And we'll talk about it. Are we ready to move on to the 3-6?
Yes, we are. Or at
a
least
team that is traditionally built for playoff basketball, that I don't think they are this year, is the Bucks. It's always weird because I feel like the personnel of the Bucks is always built for playoff basketball, but the coach never is, ever.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I think Doc Rivers has them better equipped than Adrian Griffith would have. Or Griffin. I always mess this up.
You always say Griffith. Yeah. I don't know where that...
Andy Griffith.
Yeah, Andy Griffith.
Andy Griffith. Anyway. I almost said Andy Griffin.
Adrian.
Their head coach. Yeah. Adrian Griffin. Mm-hmm. I feel like they would have been worse off if he was still the coach than since Doc's taken over, because their defense has dramatically improved. Their offense has just slid a little bit, which is expected a little bit.
Yeah, I think there's a very clear reason why they got better on defense, because they changed up because Adrian Griffin was trying to force a square peg into a round hole with like, I don't care what our personnel is or how we're doing. We're going to do my defensive system, which is like all different rules than the Bucks have always played, you know?
which is what players do I have? I'm going to build the best possible system for that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then
Brook and drop and playing the way the Bucks have made a living off of playing on the defensive end, which has been their bread and butter for the past half decade plus. So that was kind of a weird decision, but Doc has come in and switched that back, put that back on track, and then I don't know. Dame is historically a pretty reliable playoff performer. So that surprised me that you're saying that you think they're less equipped, because I mean, Drew kind of the opposite for the most part.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he
outside of his defense, offensively, he does not. He shrivels quite aggressively offensively in the playoffs.
Yeah, he has a lot of bad shooting nights.
I just think the reason that Dame has looked less, not bad, but just not insane post All-Star break, because he looked. It was a tough beginning. He started to look like, okay, this is kind of what we thought Dame was going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
And then the All-Star break hit, and then the NBA started calling games like it was the playoffs. And Dame didn't look as Damey.
Yeah, it wasn't getting to the line near as much, which is a big part of Dame's game.
Also, I didn't get to complain. The Celtics didn't shoot a single fucking free throw.
Yeah, the first team ever.
And it was... I'm fine with there being less, but if I have to watch a playoff game that is officiated like it's the WWE WrestleMania, I will lose it. Because it wasn't even that was just whatever, they're letting more contact through. It was I could probably, on my phone, give me 2 minutes to find the date on my Twitter feed, 6 or 7 different plays of that's maybe a flagrant one in a different night.
Yeah, before the rules shift.
Yeah, yeah, it just was.
Yeah,
anyway,
there's been some games like that for sure. That one night with the Nuggets versus Clippers, that game we lost recently. It was prison rules. Zubats was just after once they got into the second half, the Clippers, you could tell, were starting to realize how much freedom and how much they were able to get away with just clobbering Jokic. They're all right, we'll just keep doing this then if the whistle's not blowing.
I will just never forget. It was, this is the only one I'm going to point out.
Yeah.
It was Giannis on Tatum, star on star. So they've got their weird quiet whistles because they're both stars. On the defense. Anyway, Giannis does a top swipe, just a Giannis defensive play, clips Tatum's head, arm, and then gets ball and follows through and slaps him on the knee. As many possible points of slapping patty cake contact possible, and spoiler, no whistle, because the Celtics didn't get to the free throw line once.
Uh-huh. Which is just wild. First time ever. And the other team tied the previous
also
record.
Shot none.
They shot one.
None. 4?
1.
Was it 1?
Which they tied the previous record.
So maybe it's... Wait. The Celtics might have not got a whistle that whole game. Not even just free throws. There might not have even been a foul on the Bucks at all.
Really? That would be wild.
I think that's... And it was still only Bucks shot 2, but they only made 1.
Oh, maybe that table was made free throws then, I guess.
Yeah, the Bucks fouled 4. They did have 4 fouls.
Okay.
Celtics had 8.
Total.
Wow.
Wow.
Game. That's a quarter. I think. An average.
If those were all on the floor fouls in a quarter, you still wouldn't get free throws.
Yeah.
It would be right. It would be 1 below the bonus.
I've been talking about my Celtics way too much this pod, so I'm going to stop. Anyway, let's. So we talked
Milwaukee
Pacers.
Yeah, but
Milwaukee we've kind of praised. I think. Is there anything else we need to add about Milwaukee? I don't have anything.
No, I was more saying I'm choosing Milwaukee.
Oh yeah. If they have a healthy Giannis, yeah.
And
even if
Indiana has healthy Tyrese Halliburton, Pascal Siakam, I think it could be interesting, but I would lean Milwaukee for sure.
I concur,
assuming health. And then I think the most fun series in the first round here
on the East,
in the East is Cleveland Orlando.
Yes,
and I kind of lean Orlando.
I do too. I don't know why, but you're just looking and you're like,
I'd say it's...
And I thought, before you said it, I thought it was my weird, I can't explain it, dislike of Donovan Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that's what it was.
Yeah.
But then the more and more I'm thinking about it, it's not even really him at all. I
feel like the Cavs...
like the Magic.
The Cavs can get bogged down a lot. Like if they are going against a really good defense, a lot of times, like the Cavs is just like they don't know what to do on offense. And that happened to them last year in the playoffs against the Knicks. This year, they have an even more well-suited roster to defend them. With like, they just throw Jalen Suggs on...
Oh, Jalen Suggs, that guy that everybody thought was going to be offensive flamethrower. Go be this weird defense I don't care about scoring dog that you've been for some reason. And just don't let Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland do anything.
Yeah, they throw him on Garland, and then they can start Jonathan Isaac, who apparently has been... He started in the last game. Either started in the last game or has been playing really well enough for a lot of people to think that he might start in this series. They could start Jonathan Isaac and put him on Mitchell. That would be...
And then it's just over.
Yeah.
Then it's just over. It's like, let's play... Yeah, that would be it. I would... If that is it like a 5-game series if they just do that?
It could be.
Because of how, like... What's the word I'm looking for? It's not enigmatic. It's like
I lean 6 or 7 for sure. But... I wouldn't be surprised if the Magic completely control the series, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of nuts. I didn't even think about the like the comparison to last year where like the Knicks or the Magic are just what the Knicks were last year, kind of. We've got your like kind of offensive guy, Brunson and Paolo. They don't play the same position. I'm not trying to make that correlation, but in terms of the role they fill, you've got your like little offensive engine, and then just a bunch of dudes that play defense.
Yeah, for sure. And also just like the Cavs.
Cole Anthony.
What?
Sorry, I also think that Cole Anthony also fits in there.
Yeah, Franz Wagner.
Yeah, this is kind of fun.
Yeah. Orlando's really fun. I could definitely see this series being a 6 or 7. I feel like this series, no matter which way it goes, it's going to be probably like 6-7 games.
I don't think the Cavs blow the Magic out.
Yeah, probably.
Like if there is a 5-game world like we threw that out, that's only if it's Magic over Cleveland. That's not going to happen the other way around.
Yeah, I doubt it. Unless the Cavs really figure it out, like, and become the team that everybody thought they were before the playoffs started last year. And Orlando is just kind of a feisty young team, and they might take personally the fact that Cleveland clearly were like, we want the Magic first round. You know?
Jamal Mosley doesn't need clipboard material.
Yeah.
He's got it already.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be interesting to see. But I kind of lean Orlando. That might be our pick here. So
that'll be fun.
And that will be our playoff preview for we'll just kind of do the first round. I don't think we need to go further.
We're not going to continue the hypothetical.
Yeah.
We've already hypotheticalized the play-in.
Mm-hmm. So
we're not going to continue it into the second round.
But
we will. Do you want to pick champs?
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, we can do
conference champs.
I think we both agree Nuggets, Celtics. Right?
Yeah. Both want and logic, I think, is what happens.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
like I know that's what my heart wants because I think the Nuggets Celtics series will be some of the best games of basketball.
Yeah, and even
to watch.
Removing myself from like what I want, it's easily Denver, Boston to me. Like that's easily the two most likely teams. Removing my bias, you know.
I feel like there's like a 50% chance that like that's the matchup, and that's like insanely high for the playoffs to not even start.
I would say maybe even higher, but 50 is very high. Yeah, but I would say I might bet on. I might think that it would be more likely for it to be Nuggets versus Celtics than to be anything in the field. Else. Yeah,
we're also going to for sure be going to a game, right? If that happens,
for sure.
Game 4, so I can see my my Celtics win it in 4. Just kidding. I don't feel great, which is weird from what, like a couple years ago before Jokic like figured it out. Like if this series was played like 3 years ago and it would have been Nuggets instead of Warriors, I think the Celtics would have won that one.
Yeah, especially if we didn't have Jamal. Like
maybe even a little bit last year. I would have probably still felt like pretty solid, not great about the Celtics, but this is probably the least confident year-wise I would have been of a Celtics Nuggets in terms of the Celtics winning comfortably. I think the Celtics still could win and would win. That's probably
I think that's weird because the Celtics are definitely a much better team. Not much, but I'd say they're clearly a better team than they were last year.
Yes, but just the way that like Jokic hadn't figured out to fully be like, oh, you're going to make me score. I just will until you stop letting me.
Yeah, it seems like the Celtics,
because the Celtics were the first ones to do that.
Or the Nuggets have the Celtics number, yeah.
I'm not even going to say it that much, but...
What?
This, I guess maybe that's the amount of gusto I put on that phrase of they have their number. I don't even go that far.
Oh, I'm just saying it seems like in those two games, it was like even with the Nuggets playing like
it was a 1 point game.
Yeah,
it was a
2 point game and a 6 point game.
And both of them were a 1 bucket game until free throws.
Yeah, I agree with you that they were close. I'm saying that they were terrible Nuggets games from like two of the worst shooting nights the Nuggets have had all season.
Yeah.
Just from like a 3-point luck standpoint, like doing the advanced stats, not necessarily like quality of defense, but like literally the
luck stat.
Yeah, the luck stat was very, very poor. And theoretically, it was like a lot of people have said this. I'm not sure if I agree 100% with this take, but this is a take I've heard a lot, that those games were handed to the Celtics on a silver platter of like the Celtics had it broke so many ways for the Celtics to have the advantage and they still lost.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
Yeah. I think there's some validity to that. I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's
so like scheduling? Is that what they're saying?
Maybe that
or
was
like
part
reffing
of it.
Or
I'm saying the shooting luck side of it and the basically getting the Nuggets on a night that for how things broke was like a pretty good chance for the Celtics to beat them. But the fact that the game stayed close and then
is the Nuggets superpower.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the first game. I just remember the second game. The Nuggets were like the third game of a West Coast trip. And the nights before were like
East
the
Coast
Mavericks.
Or you mean the Celtics?
I don't remember the first game. I just remember when they played in Denver, which was game 2, right?
But you meant the Celtics were on a West Coast trip. Is that what
yes.
You meant? Okay.
The Celtics were on a West Coast trip for the game in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like in the middle of like a long, like, oh, it's a bunch of good teams we have to play. So I also haven't seen that because I'm not in Nuggets world.
I can't remember which one was home. Was it first or which one was in Denver? The first or second one? I know one of them was in January.
The second one was in Denver.
Second one was? Okay. So then
I believe so.
That one was the 6-point game. That was the one that I felt like it was like we were more in control of that game the whole time. The first one was like way more back and forth the whole game.
Yeah, because it was Jazz, whatever, Trailblazers. Then they played the Suns the night before, the Nuggets the next night, and then they had to go play the Cavs in a back-to-back. The Nuggets were the first night of the back-to-back.
Yeah, it was the first time the Celtics had lost 2 straight games since November 6th and 8th. For sure.
Yes. That sounds right. I don't remember the dates, but that sounds correct.
Mm-hmm.
And then the first time they played was...
late January, early February, I think. January 15th, maybe, off the top of my head?
It is 19th of January.
Yeah. And that was a 2-point game, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, so also I don't know what the luck... This is more just me talking, not like podcast. We can close the podcast. I'm just trying to figure out like what other people are saying.
Yeah, I heard that one mainly from like KOC and Bill Simmons, and I think Ryan Russillo might have also...
The luck thing?
Yeah.
I just don't get the luck thing.
Oh, yeah. I actually had a pushback. And Dion also from Hoop Journal. He also said something about that. And I actually felt like... Because I messaged him back about that when I saw him share that take, and I said that I felt like the Celtics that was a bit of an overreaction because the Celtics also didn't shoot super well. Like
because Tatum went 1 for 8.
Yeah, Tatum was like a no-show for both those games.
Derek White. Well, I'm looking at the 2-point one in Boston.
Yeah,
Derek White was our best player. And Porzingis was, I do remember Porzingis was this was his first game back from like a 3-game rest. So maybe that was a benefit for the Celtics. I'm not sure.
The first game?
Yes, the first game.
I remember Porzingis
because I didn't
really
think
good
he was
going to
play.
He was really good both games.
I think that if there is a series, it will be Porzingis' Finals MVP if the Celtics win it.
Wow.
No, I think for the Celtics to win the Finals, if it is the Nuggets, which it is, I think that if he does not win Finals MVP, it will be a fraudulent display of NBA I like your name more favoritism.
Even if Jason Tatum is like
yes, okay, again. There's a world where Tatum plays better. I'm just saying that, like, doing all the calculations on how could the Celtics beat the Nuggets.
Yeah. Porzingis has to be
Porzingis has to be that guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At least a very good candidate for Finals MVP.
Yes.
Yeah. Makes sense. I think that's a pretty good, honestly, that was a pretty good preview there. I pick Nuggets, obviously. I lean Nuggets. I could go either. I'm not saying I could not imagine a world. Obviously, the Celtics have been the best team in basketball.
Losing to the Nuggets is the only way that I don't view this playoffs as a failure.
Oh.
As a Celtics fan.
That's the only acceptable loss.
Losing to the Nuggets in six or seven is the only way that I don't view this playoffs as this team sucks and we choked away everything.
Yeah. Like that's the only way it wasn't a massive underperformance.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
At the minimum of finals berth. That's out of the question.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the only way that I'm like, I can sleep at night if they lose in the finals is because it was to the Nuggets in 6 or 7.
Yeah, with Jokic being the best player in the world.
And not like a back against the wall, we go down 3-0 and we win 2, like a back and forth-ish 6-game series.
Mm-hmm.
Or 7.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, we've been going for a while.
Mm-hmm. We are.
Be sure,
keep going.
if you haven't already, to check out all of the places. If you're listening to us on Spotify, we have a TikTok. We're getting to 5,000 followers. And if you're one of those 5,000, look at the pinned ones and find the one that's talking about the TikTok giveaway. We will be giving away a jersey. Cannot be Miles Bridges. And if you get a Draymond Green one, it has to be the smallest size that I can get through my jersey guy. 5,000. And if TikTok gets weirded out by the government, we'll just move it to a different platform and we'll announce that when we do. Mm-hmm. We're also on Instagram, which is a great place to look. Also are on YouTube. That's a big place. Spotify, leave a like, comment. Wherever you can get podcasts, we're all there because Logan does a great job with that. Also, buy this man a coffee. That's a place to go. Logan's the one that does everything. So you're directly buying him a coffee to fuel him while he is diligently cutting out all my mutterings and making me sound smarter. Also, we got a Patreon, and we've got a couple things cooking in the background for once the Patreon ball gets rolling. Anybody hops in, you'll get a little bit of extra bonus juice, extra little bonus content for helping out us be able to do this more and more, because the more Patreon and the more Buy Me a Coffee things we get, the more and more we'll be able to do this. And that means we get better at it. And that means, I think, quality good for content. Everybody.
Yeah.
And good for everybody except for
our haters.
Daryl Morey. Because I'll probably be meaner to him.
Oh. Just because he's affiliated with the Sixers organization? Is that the only reason?
I don't know. I'm trying to grow out my beard. And I feel like James Harden, I have to stand in solidarity with my bearded brother. I'm trying to work on it. Because I've always had the beard that sticks to my fat rolls. I've never had that proper bushy beard. I'm not going to go like Duck Dynasty bushy. I'm just going to try and have like a solid... All of the names I'm thinking of are football players, like a David Andrews had a pretty solid beard. Is there like an NBA guy that's not James Harden?
Tim Hardaway Jr. used to have a really good beard. Jaylen Brown, good beard.
No, I'm trying to get like a little bit more like, who's like draw a cartoon mall Santa that's got his own beard. That type of beard where it's like a big, almost cotton ball, but it'll be this weird brown ginger color. That whatever my beard is, I don't know. I think it's, yeah, dude. That's with this yellow light. That's my light. That is an aggressively
So a bit of a reddish
kind of
brown.
Davis Bertans beard almost.
I would definitely call it brown, but it's got a little bit of like a strawberry tint.
Wearing the green, you'd have no idea that I'm not just full-blown Irish if you don't see the bottom of the beard. You just see the mustache. Oh, actually, now that I'm looking at it, what you see in Discord is way more brown than what you see in OBS. I was about
to say it must be, because I don't really see what you're talking about.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I think we're all good. So
what should the people do, Logan?
I think that they should stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll talk to them next episode.
Peace!